Right. Good morning, everyone. It's so good to have this opportunity to present the next coffee with Crestwood. So welcome. Thank you for joining. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. Everyone will be muted upon entry. If you have any questions throughout this presentation, please add them to the Q&A section in this Teams webinar. At the end of the presentation, we'll be addressing any additional questions. A quick introduction. My name is Nicholas Cabrera, one of the customer success managers here at Crestwood, focused specifically on Microsoft Dynamics clients. I serve as a strategic partner for everything from license alignment and renewals to product roadmap planning and migration initiatives, especially around GP and Business Central. While we have a full CSM team supporting our client base, I'm your designated point of contact for anything tied to your Dynamics environment, and I coordinate with the rest of our team to make sure that you're fully supported across services, support, and product strategy. Joining me today is Mike Gordon, dedicated project manager and one of our senior Dynamics consultants. Mike brings deep functional expertise with decades of experience across both Dynamics GP and Business Central. Before joining Crestwood, he worked for years as a licensed CPA, which gives him a unique perspective on financial system design, compliance, and real-world accounting operations. He'll be leading the delivery and execution side of your projects, making sure timelines, milestones, and configurations align with your business requirements. In today's agenda, we're going to be looking at maximizing margins with product line analysis. Through that, we'll be conducting an in-depth process and profit analysis by product line, setting up profitability reports, and identifying revenue drivers to make data-driven decisions for growth and efficiency. And then we'll hand over for that Q&A and next steps. With that, I'll hand it over to you, Mike.
All right. Good morning, everyone. So one of the things that I get asked quite a bit is if somebody has product lines, how is the best way to track some of that information? And one of the ways that I would use in Business Central, especially Business Central, and I have a little screenshot there in the middle, are global dimensions. I would use one of the two global dimensions, which are pre-filtered and can be used across all of Business Central. So they are filters on reports, batches, ledger entries, and other areas. So it allows you to narrow down the data based on the specific criteria. And global dimensions are configured in GL Setup, where you can specify global dimension 1 and 2. There are other dimensions that Business Central has, but they don't necessarily hit every area, which is why I pick global dimensions. And they streamline reporting and analytics, making it easier to get a clear financial picture. And we'll be focusing on product lines. So next slide, please. All right, so I'm giving you a snapshot of a financial statement, and we'll go into this a little bit live when we're done. But again, if I was looking at a financial statement and I wanted it by product line, I have two product lines that I created there based on the demo data items that exist. One of them was coffee, and the other was office furniture. Then further, in the account schedules, the financial reporting for Business Central, I created a gross profit line, and then I created a formula for a gross profit percent. So in this case, it looks like I made my gross profit on coffee was 38.83, and office furniture was 24.73. Now, maybe they're supposed to be about 40%. And then I would say, okay, my coffee's not too bad. What's going on with my office furniture? Maybe I'm not charging enough. Maybe prices have increased. So this just gives you more visibility into your financial picture. And next slide, please. Okay, the next thing that I have here to look at is one of the things in Business Central are item ledger entries. So that's records of every transaction involving an item. So it includes purchase, sales, adjustment, transfers. So it tracks item movement, quantity changes, like detailed history, basically the life cycle of the item. Filtering allows you to analyze specific subsets of the item ledger entries. So based on the global dimension we selected, that's coffee and furniture. And I'll show this a little more, but you can see on the left of the red box in the center I have there, if you go up to the top, it says product line code. The product line code came from our global dimension that we set up. And you can see that I highlighted certain ones. There's a section with office furniture, and there's a section with coffee. Next slide, please. So there also is on that same thing, there is an item ledger entry. You can create analysis views. So item ledger entry analysis, and that's the power of the global dimension. Right, filtering on that dimension allows you to filter on specific criteria. So that provides you a focused view. If you notice with my product line, I created, and it's shifted a little bit because there's too much to fit on a screen, but we'll look at it in a bit, is coffee and then office furniture as well. And I did a little snapshot of 2 items in coffee. And if I look at this, this is interesting. If I look at the SP SCM 1008, I could see that my sales were $15,000 roughly. My costs were $3,800. Either I make a lot of money on that, or I'm charging too much for it, because that's a pretty substantial difference. On the other hand, if we look at the SCM 1009 above it, you could see that my sales were $13,420, but yet my cost was like $14,950. So I'm losing money every time I sell that product. Now, this data is skewed deliberately. I did that so that we would have this pronounced difference. So the difference might not be this huge, but still, as a quick look, I should be able to look at this and see this. And if I wanted to do further calculations, I can export this analysis out to Excel and then do some more calculations like, okay, what was my profit on that? What's my profit margin? That type of thing. So the ledger entry out analysis is another way. And this also can be built using Copilot, which you can give it parameters, right? I could say I want a sales column, right? By product line, I want a sales column, total sales amount, and cost amount, and it would create something similar to this. So just another tool that Business Central has. All right, next slide, please. All right, so now we're ready for my live demo. So I am going to share and pull up my Business Central and go over a couple of things. So just give me 1 second here. And now Business Central should be up. So this is Business Central. And one of the things I did that wasn't on a slide, and I just want to be able to show you. So I clicked it. It's a little slow, but I'm going to give you an example of part of what I did to get data in here. I'm going to go and select for sales Alpine Ski House here. And this header information is fine. And you're going to notice right here, I have a product line code. Now, I personalized the page so that it wasn't far to the right. And I would go in and I'm going to actually shift to ascending. And there's what my 1009 coffee pot. So I'm going to select that. And I'm going to say, and you'll notice it automatically filled in with coffee. And I'm going to say I'm going to order 100 of these and so on. Then I can put my price and everything else in. I'm not going to go ahead and do that. But what I did to get the data that you're looking at is I ordered a bunch of things on purchasing, and then same thing, purchase invoices, and then I completed this and did sales invoices. So that's how the data got in there. If we go look at, so that we're not screen restricted so much, we'll go look at financial reporting first. And my IS demo is what I used. So I'm going to click on that. And one of the things you notice, I'm going to expand this. One of the things you notice is, right, I have a row definition. I call my column IS product. And if I start to scroll down at the bottom here, you'll see I have coffee, office furniture, other, and then there's a total to the right. And then I come down and I have my total cost of goods. I created the gross profit line and the gross profit percent line. And then if I'm on this screen, so this is a little quick snapshot. If I'm on this screen and I go to home and hit recalculate, if there's any changes, it will change what's on the bottom here. If I wanted to export this to Excel or print, I would just click on that. And then the other thing we talked about is where I set up the global dimensions, which is under general ledger setup. I just wanted to review that. And you'll see global dimension 1 and global dimension 2. So I chose product line. The other thing we were talking about is item, ledger, entries. And if I come into that, I see lots of items, including 2 coffee items right up top. If I expand out my screen a little bit, now you see there's lots of data, right? Here's my quantity invoice, remaining quantity, my sales amount, my cost amount. There's actually even an entry number. And if I went further right, there's some other things. But this is a quick snapshot that you can look at. When I mentioned that I did analysis entries, if I click and enter analysis mode, we're now going to bring up, here's my products. And you'll see, because I bracketed, so blanks they didn't have any code, because I'm working with demo data, right? So I only set up a few items with the coffee and the office furniture. But this, once I hit that, that should look very familiar. And you'll see down here at the bottom, Copilot's kind of hovering with create new analysis reports. My experience with that is if you ask it the right thing or you ask it reasonable things, it will come up with an analysis. You may not totally like it, but if you ask it something it can't do, it's going to tell you it can't do it. So, but it's another quick way to possibly develop something not manually. And then again, this looks familiar. This is what we saw in the screenshot. If I wanted to take a look at office furniture, and remember, any of this can be skewed because it's demo data. And you see the 4 items I have under office furniture, right? There's a wide difference. This one looks 1936S, looks pretty reasonable. And then that looks kind of high for profit. So does that. So does that. But also, if you notice here, one thing I don't think I screenshotted on the ledger analysis is you'll notice there's a total by product line here. So, right, the sales and the cost per product line are showing here. All right, so then the other thing I wanted to just go to is there is information under just items. This is standard normal information, and I'm going to minimize my details so I get more screen space. And you'll see there's items here. Right, so I do have some quantity on hand, right, what my cost is, what my price is. So just a normal item screen, but that also gives you some information. So those were the main things that I had for you today, but it's a quick way to get information on a product line. And by the fact that the product line is a global dimension, it can be accessed from any input or reporting screen, and it can be filtered upon. So if I wanted to, let's try one more thing that I think I want to show you. If I wanted to go back to item, ledger, entries. And I wanted to get out of my analysis mode. And I can filter on product line, and I can whittle this down more. I can say, you know what, I don't want to see anything unless it's coffee. Now, one of the things that I get to see, and this was the last thing I think I wanted to show you for today, was by filtering on coffee, you'll see here's all the purchases that occurred, and then here's all the sales that occurred. So I have all the information related to my products that are listed under coffee. With that, I think we can move to Q&A. Were there questions?
Yeah, I'm just looking through the section here, and I did see 2 questions. And I see that you filtered by the product line, but what if you wanted to add more product lines on that financial statement?
So on the financial statement, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
If I go back to financial reporting, I go in my IS demo statement that I used. One of the things I can do is go to definitions, and how I did that, we'll look at 2 things real quick. One is the question you asked, which is going to be the column definition. So you can see I added these here, and then I have an other, which I left blank. I put nulls there. but I would simply insert a column and add the other product line on the column dimension. The other thing I may as well show you since I'm in here is how I calculated. So we got down to cost of goods. So I said this was row number F0009 plus 16. So that took the difference between total income and gross profit to give me gross profit. And then to calc the margin, I divided the gross profit by the sales times 100 to get my percent right. So that's how I would accomplish that. Any other questions?
Awesome. Excellent. All right, I do have one last question that I see here, and that's, what if this product had been manufactured and wanted to see that as a cost share?
Okay, so I did not, for the demo, get data on cost shares, but I can show you what that question is talking about.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So cost shares, if I go to cost share breakdown, and we'll see that I have my filter here. I'm going to filter on my product line. I have a lot to filter on there. I might not have set this up. I don't think I set it up for product line. But let's look at the cost dimension. So if you look, and interestingly enough, my top two items are my coffee items. But what cost share breakdown does is it shows you what went in their product, right? So direct costs, capacity overhead, material overhead, if we had any subcontractor type of stuff, if there's a variance, if we revalued. So as I said, I didn't set up demo data for an example like that, but this is where you would go if we had set this up. And this would give you your breakdown for any manufactured items. Are there any other questions?
All righty. Okay, I don't see any additional questions on the Q&A chat. So with that, I'll move into a quick recap. So in today's call, Mike Gordon was able to show an in-depth profit analysis through that product line, a couple of profitability reports, and more importantly, helped identify some revenue drivers to help make those decisions for growth and efficiency. We will have this recorded and we'll share it out accordingly after this meeting, but it looks like we've completed. We've taken care of everything on our end, and I wish you all a good rest of your day, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.